you know, I don't care, I'm going to pick Vayne. One of those type of situations where he can really stake his claim on his sort of prime AD carry position. But we are into the picks and bans, and so far it's been pretty much the same.
Sure, so far we have Lissandra and a Rumble banned on the blue side. Rek'Sai's not going to be seeing any play, and Kassadin.
Yeah, so the only change up here being this Rumble banned away from potentially Looper, and Aluka not wanting to first pick that one, not wanting to grab that one away for himself, and they just don't want to allow that champion onto the Rift. So World Elite wanting to have sort of a different playstyle this game, and do you think that Nas are going to get through yet again? There's only a couple of bans left.
I'd have to expect that to be the last ban coming out from M3, just because of how much work Luke was able to do on that champion. I'm actually surprised to see World Elite picking up Rumble and then refusing to let it through, showing a lot of priority on that Rumble pick. The Tristana pickup, we're starting to see a little bit more in the LPL. I mean, I thought it was just a Crystal special, but even banned against M3 here.
Yeah, well, Candy was very scary on that champion. Also seemed to know its limits very greatly there, managing to pick up that solo kill in the top lane. So intelligent ban, but a few more sort of sought-after champions that are still available here. Of course, every jungler apart from Rek'Sai is available, and Na's going to be the last one taken off the board. Pretty intelligent decision there. Not wanting to let that into the hands of World Elite just because Na's so strong at the moment.
And you have to think if it's going to follow previous trends, we're going to see an early Janna pick into an early Jarvan pick from M3. That's the flavor we've been following so far, but maybe we'll see a curveball.
Yeah, maybe we'll see something else coming through. Janna has been hovered here by World Elite, so looking to be following the trend. It might be a Thresh in answer from Love CD here. We'll see what he decides to go with in response, but UJ looking at the next option here and showing his next champion that he's going to offer.
Yep, so that will be locked in, you'd have to think.
Yep.
Jarvan's been the standard response, just so much lane pressure, and with Rek'Sai not available, clearly the prince of the jungle. Obvious reference is obvious right there. Insta-locks it for himself,
beautiful.
does Ruhr.
He does. So no surprises there. We'll see what Looper decides to opt for. Of course, there are a few other options. Candy going to be looking at the Corki here. So taking that away from STYZ. Actually, Ninja going to be locking in the Ninjas. Second time that we've seen Ninja picking up that particular champion. I believe he played it in his first game here at the LPL.
It's a very interesting straight lock-in. Just locking in Dade's signature Z right there. It's a very different flavor to what we've been expecting from Ninja, obviously. He's usually playing that long-range wave clear champion. Now moving on to an assassin. And Dade, he has so much experience playing that Z. I'm sure he has some ideas of what to play against it. This would be an interesting lock-in, whether it was for whatever lane, but let's let the
well, you can dodge the death mark with your Sanguine Pool.
It's a very specific timing on that. It's actually a very difficult thing to pull off, but it would be
sort of like, but if actually,
oh boy,
it's going to be the assassin off here in the mid lane, the Ninja versus Dade, and the Zed versus Yasuo. So we've seen this matchup being played out a couple of times, but we'll see how it does work out. And of course, Maokai being locked in here for Looper, and STYZ hovering over that Vayne, maybe wanting to go for the Uzi route. Looking to hard carry for his team, but so far this World Elite lineup looking very different and very scary as UJ has locked in that Aurelia here for Aluka here for the top lane. So, I mean, Aurelia into Maokai, you're going to have a pretty decent time if you're Aurelia, just in general, just because you can normally afford to sort of farm out that wave and get to that late game position, but STYZ will see what he wants to do, and it looks like the Vayne.
The carry flavor is strong from World Elite here. It's a completely AD and, of course, true damage when it comes to Aurelia team coming out here. No AP damage whatsoever on the World Elite side. All they need to decide is the support for M3. I mean, one thing I want to come back to, Dade's picking Yasuo into Zed. He's basically counter-picking himself.
This is the Dade special, though. He loves to counter-pick himself.
He does love to counter-pick himself to mixed success, but he's going to take that exhaust just to have another tool in the all-in there. Zed's one of the strongest picks against Yasuo, so, I mean, the Yasuo is so exciting because, of course, Dade's proficiency with that champion is known worldwide.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a hell of a risky pick.
It certainly is a risky pick. We'll see whether it pays off. Of course, he's Dade known to pick interestingly in the draft phase, but I'm not sure whether he's ever gone this deep as far as the counter-picking himself is concerned, and maybe just disrespecting Ninja Zed a little bit.
That's what it seems like. That's what shouts out to me, is that he's confident enough, even in a counter matchup, to at least go even. They have so much synergy for him on that team. They got Maokai, of course, can hit him up with the Q. Jarvan has a bevy of CC to be able to flag and drag in and set up the ultimate there. They have a lot of setup CC for this Yasuo, and if he can go even or better in lane, it's looking great for M3.
Yeah, it certainly is. And having the ability to get that last breath off whenever you want it to, that's super important when you're in a Yasuo comp, just because you really wanted to get that 50% armor penetration at the beginning of a fight so you can just tear people apart with all of his abilities. And of course, that Steel Tempest being on such a low cooldown after you get your first attack speed item in that Static Shiv, it's just really scary to behold. And recently had a couple of buffs.
And the other exciting factor, of course, is that STYZ's finally gone back to his carry route. Enough of the Sivir. Sivir was actually available here, not picked. And the Corki was taken away. Finally, he says, all right, carry pants on. We're going to play Vayne.
Yeah, and Candy on the Corki this time. We've seen Corki not necessarily working out to great effect. I believe it was in the hands of IG where the Corki sort of just snowballed out of control in that matchup. But other than that, Corki's been a little bit underwhelming. Of course, that Phosphorus Bomb taking a little bit of a hit with the missile speed, so not quite being able to have the guaranteed burst that you'd otherwise want. Of course, in our last matchup, that 1v1 that Candy managed to score was by flashing out of that Phosphorus Bomb that was quite telegraphed.
I guess kind of my view on the Corki picks today is that teams have been picking Corki, and then they haven't really had set goals for how to play around that Corki. The Corki pick's all about the mid-game grouping into sieging and taking turrets with that Trinity Force Sorcerer Shoes power spike. And that hasn't happened. That's only happened in one game, and that's where Kid went monstrous on that Corki. But there's still plenty of power in that champion. Still lanes very well, still safe. He still has that amazing mid-game. But if your other lanes lose or for whatever reason you're not able to group with that Corki, it just negates the point of the pick.
Yeah, and I certainly like the Corki pick up with the likes of Annie coming through on your side as well. You sort of have that targeted stun that you can get through with that that Q, the Pyroblast, I believe. Something? Not entirely. Incinerate.
Incinerate, correct.
Yeah. So that's easily laid down. Then you can get a Phosphorus Bomb over the top. You can follow up with some rockets and really get some massive burst coming through, and especially when that Tibbers does come down. I mean, Love City going to have a lot of work. But we are going to be onto the Rift, ladies and gentlemen, in just a moment. Welcome back, and we are onto the Rift with M3 taking on WE for Game 2. Of course, M3 taking the first one, and now on the red side as Ninja and Dade just meet up here in the mid lane. WE now on our blue side. Wanted to see what they can do, of course. Very defensive starts from both of our teams. Sort of that 5-point defense across the board. We'll see whether anything comes through.
I'm going to enter this game with a lot of excitement just because you look down this team that M3's created here. I mean, they're all about going in. There's going to be some amazing wombo combos coming out between the knock-up combinations of Maokai and Jarvan, and of course the last breath from Dade. The flash Tibbers is going to come in. And there's no difference on the WE side. They're going to be committing hard. I mean, Zed goes in. Vayne's all about doing damage at 550 range or less by cancelling her autos with Tumble.
Yep.
I mean, Aurelia's going to be in the fights. This is basically going to be team fight central, hopefully. I don't see how it can't be with the champions that are picked, but it should be team fight central.
Yeah, and we'll see how Spirit actually does on this Lee Sin as well. First time we've seen him playing Lee Sin in the LPL, has been favoring the Rengars, the Riven, and of course played a bit of Kha'Zix as well. So see whether picking up this sort of more standard jungler is going to work out for him. Of course, everyone plays a fantastic Lee Sin, Spirit being no exception, but we'll see whether he can have the impact on this champion that he wants. And let's see again how Dade goes in this, what we like to say is a counter matchup.
I had the chance to watch Spirit play Lee Sin against I believe it was CJ Entus in the Masters semi-final earlier last year, and he completely dismantled the enemy jungler on Lee Sin. So he has a lot of potential on Lee Sin. Oh, yeah. I'm surprised that he's not been moving towards that pick, but I guess he's been going for the more carry-style jungler with the Riven picks earlier in the LPL. If he can really get on top of Ro here, I feel like W have a good chance of finally picking up that first win of the season.
Oh, Spirit actually looking to come through for a level 2 gank here as well. Really get STYZ rolling. Has hit that level 2. Has actually flashed forward as well. Love CD is so incredibly low. Candy is going to use that heal, but the last hit, not going to be enough. And a lot expended to pick up that I guess, just a flash here on Love City.
Yeah, awkwardly, the Q did hit a minion there for Spirit, so he wasn't able to fully commit there. But they're going to push together and deny a lot of farm from Candy. Candy's going to be significantly far behind in this lane.
Yeah, Dade going aggressive onto Ninja here as well. Both of these mid laners going very low. Dade just trying his very best to charge up that shield from his passive and give himself a little bit more trading potential. You can see the stack of minions a little bit better here for Dade. He's farming effectively. Both Ninja and Dade farming out quite nicely here in this mid lane, considering the fact that they need to harass each other at the same time. Spirit coming around yet again. The wind wall to come down. Dade going to flash after going through with that E. So beautifully played from Dade.
Quality evasive maneuvers, but now he's going to have to play even more defensive in a counter matchup. It's going to be very difficult for Dade, but if there's any man who can weather this storm and get through laning phase on Yasuo versus Zed, it has to be Dade.
It certainly does. And Spirit offering the pressure, but not quite being able to make it work just yet. And Lupa, some nice harass using that Q there as well. So Dade looking okay here. And in fact, Ninja gone back just to try and purchase some more kill potential here with this extra longsword.
Interesting to me that with flash up and with so aggressive positioning in the lane, Ninja was the first to back there and give up kind of the pressure he had on Dade. Forcing Dade to back on the turret would have been a massive advantage for them, but he backs away. Dade actually starts the game on a CS advantage, and the mid lane resets.
And Spirit making his way back down to the bottom lane yet again. Love City does have the stun available. Candy's going to come up and ward this one out. Spirit's going to be spotted here. And the teleport to come in immediately here as well. Love City's going to fall down. First Blood is in fact going to go over to the Vayne, but Lupa immediately answers. Spirit falls down. Suchet is incredibly low as well. Does have the shield. Nice Howling Gale to come through, but Candy flashes for the kill. Aluka with the Equilibrium Strike now, and there's the Arcane Punch to come through onto this one, but Ninja has finally made his way down. Level 4 roams coming through from the mid laner as Lupa comes back in, knows that he's going to die, and there are kills going across the board so far. 2-2 now in kills, but that exchange is going every which way.
An extended 2v2 leads, an extended 3v3, I believe, leads to 2 kills on both sides, but importantly, Dade was able to stay in the mid lane, pick up a lot of CS there, and he was the only person who did not commit to coming to the bottom lane, so he's actually been able to go in with the jungler, get some very advanced wards down here, and just the fact that they use less resources to get the same result is a win for M3.
It is, but you have to say First Blood going to STYZ on this Vayne is very, very important, and as another nice Howling Gale does come through from UJ, because Love City is looking for the stun. The Q does come through, but STYZ is going to be the target for this stun here as well as Silver Bolts. He's going to proc onto Candy. He's going to get out of there, but STYZ, he gets smited, he gets flagged and dragged, and Candy gets the kill credit for that one.
It's needless aggression in terms of positioning there by STYZ. It's an overstay. Of course, he noticed that Dade left mid lane. He had no vision whatsoever in his own jungle. Overextended and paid for that with his life.
Yeah, it didn't work out too well here. But top lane, everything going to reset. Go back to normal as Dade is just going to steal Tempest the popcorn chickens. And Ninja now doing a lot of damage with multiple longswords.
Worth noting that Dade is playing quite aggressively here because he's 1 creep away from 6. He hits 6 here. He has still Tempest available. He has his Q knock-up available as well, but it falls here. It was very smart positioning from Dade, but he could not bait Ninja into an engage.
Yeah, not quite able to get that one working out. As Roar is going to go down incredibly low to the Grump. And Spirit going to invade the jungle. There's lots of pings down on top of him, though. M3 know that he's here. Dade, nice work dodging away from these shurikens. I mean, that's what gives Ninja the edge in this fight. As Roar is going to go down solo, and Yuji roaming up to try and get some attacks down. Going to be spotted out by a ward, but Ninja going to be caught yet again. That's going to be the last breath actually being used here by Dade, just to try and get a little bit of extra damage. You can see has the CS lead as well, as he's going to use some nice Steel Tempest just to get some extra creeps.
He's actually controlling the minion wave very smartly here as Dade. He was keeping the minion wave on his side of the map. Even without flash, is able to farm very safely. He's going to get through this laning phase with a 7 CS advantage, let alone any sort of disadvantage from the matchup. So Dade is showing why he's thought of so highly on this Yasuo. He's playing it very smartly in lane.
He most definitely is, and we haven't seen him on it too much recently, but looking really, really good at this stage as Spirit has been spotted out in the enemy jungle. Actually, I believe managed to steal away a buff. Not entirely sure. We didn't really see what had happened, but being very sneaky as the Steel Tempest going to come through on a Ninja, and then the E to back straight out of it again.
Kind of waiting for these big ultimate power spikes coming out from both Ruo and Spirit in the jungle here. Both of them stuck at level 5, not level 6 just yet. And Dade finally, his flash is coming back off cooldown, so of course, finally, he pushes that mid lane out.
Ooh, Sonic Wave just missing Dade there as well. That would have spelt the engage. We do have the death mark available from Ninja as well, so his engage potential very, very high as Aluka has this lane at exactly where he wants it. And Lupa unable to push up too far in fear of Spirit's Lee Sin. It's a nice knock up there onto Ninja as well, so Dade playing very, very well.
I have to wonder how many of the mid laners in the LPL Dade will be confident enough to pick Yasuo into Zed of, or even just a counter pick of that level, counter picking oneself to that level. It's something that Dade has been doing in the off-season cups. He has been happy to take bad lane matchups, but is it just a case of him, considering Ninja more of a passive player and thinking that he can't take advantage of the more aggressive Zed in this matchup? Or is it just a case of his happiness in this matchup? We don't know for sure.
And just for our viewers at home, why do you consider the Yasuo to be countered by this Zed?
I mean, usually in a 1v1 melee matchup, you might fancy a Yasuo. The wind wall can be super effective against a lot of auto-attacking champions, but against Zed, he has so much targeted damage that can't really be negated by wind wall that there's a huge amount of assassination potential. And of course, he has ranged harass with his shurikens. He's able to whittle down Yasuo's health whenever he tries to go for minion hits, and then all in him with the ignite here. So there is a lot of kill pressure on Zed's side if he plays aggressively, and especially if his jungle's there to help.
Yeah, so we'll see whether Ninja can assert that dominance. Has decided to go for the Bilgewater Cutlass here as his first sort of semi-major buy. Now, we're just going to pop onto your screen just for one moment as we adjust some things in the client. But, yeah, so far, I mean, Dade looking very, very good on this Yasuo. Things going well for M3. They had that scuffle in the bottom lane. STYZ did manage to get first blood on this Vayne, and that is very, very important. Mm-hmm. But so far, things looking pretty good for M3.
And after that big advantage to start things off, went too aggressive, overextended in lane, did STYZ, and paid for it with his life. So once again, Candy's actually in a very good spot to carry here. It's 2-0 very early. He's on that Corki, which was a favorable lane matchup against the Vayne. Going to hit Trinity Force at a good clip.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see if this will be another example of using Corki's power spike effectively, or whether we'll be seeing a more of this lane pushing Corki that doesn't want to group and siege down turrets after he picks up those items.
Yeah, we'll see what does come through as Ruo is making his way here to the bottom lane. He's not going to be spotted out, but isn't going to go too aggressive because, of course, WE playing very far back. There's a nice creep advantage here as well coming through from Candy.
And it's to be expected, especially if WE being forced back, just because you're going to eat a lot of harass under turret from the Corki missiles, the phosphorus bomb.
There's the flash tip is coming through. Ninja's getting taken down straight away. That's going to be the Cataclysm as well. And counter matchup or not, 3 people's always going to be better than 1.
Absolutely. Love CD was able to roam so easily to the mid lane there. Candy has so much dominance in this bottom lane, able to push in, force Vayne under turret, harass with phosphorus bomb. They weren't even able to communicate.
Oh my goodness. And as well, Dade is going to go back to base and pick up a static Shiv at 11 minutes into this game. So a huge spike in power.
Turning a Brawler's Glove into a static Shiv is a lovely place to be in if you're daddy.
It is.
Dade.
Who's your daddy?
It's getting late.
With a name like Papa Smithy, I think making daddy jokes is definitely in your wheelhouse. I think you're going to be okay. Lupa now just going to be looking for wards and stuff like that because Aluka freezing out this wave yet again. I think the wave possibly going to reset at this stage as both of our top laners relatively close in CS. The double Doran's pick up here from Lupa means that might be going for a little bit more of an aggressive decision as Ninja going to be taking the blue buff and then hopping over to his shadow. But in response, M3 looking at this dragon.
Yep, it's another free objective for them to pick up here. They could, of course, use the wind wall to negate a bit of damage, but it's not important. They're going to easily power this down. And you have to say Spirit hasn't really been able to put out the jungle pressure you might expect from his Lee Sin here. And, Dade's counter pick, it's paid off. He's looking very comfortable in the mid lane.
Yeah, it's looking very, very good. The other thing about Yasuo that's quite nice in this situation is the fact that in order for Spirit to get in, he has to use a projector. So if you just use that wind wall on the Sonic Wave, it really does take away a lot of that engage potential, which is working out quite nicely here, you could imagine.
Do see Spirit invading quite aggressively here. Rose on very low health on the other side of the jungle, so this will be a good adaptation and a free objective coming out, but pressure on the lanes is what he needs to do, I think. It's one thing he's been unable to do so far this game.
Yeah, and Ruo able to pick up 3 assists for himself. He's been very active across this map, and losing a red buff isn't going to bother him too much because, of course, he's Jarvan, so has a lot of innate CC anyway. Not going to be relying on that one as much as, say, Master Yi or something like that.
You have to think this bottom lane matchup might change drastically once Blade the Ruined King comes in for STYZ. The flavor of those Vayne lanes changes so dramatically.
Oh, yeah.
Once the Blade the Ruined King comes in, but the issue here is that if you try and aggress onto a Corki Annie lane as Vayne, you're just going to get exploded during the Annie Tibbers.
Yeah,
so
incinerated.
Incinerated, sure.
Potential. As the E's going to come through. Dade likes his chances here against Ninja. Going to miss the Hurricane from the Steel Tempest, but man, Ninja feeling the pressure here from Dade.
And Dade's exerting all this pressure with the exhaust pickup. He doesn't even have the Ignite to secure kills, but he's basically harassing Ninja out of lane with the defensive summoner spell choice.
Yeah, and he probably knows as well that when that Deathmark comes in, I mean, he can use that exhaust and just take away the burst potential here of Ninja and really stop that ultimate from working to full effect. So able to turn around what he wants. Dade heading down to this bottom lane with Ruo in tow. 4 men strong. Going to be taking on STYZ as he almost falls down inherently. Ruo, there's the slam dunk, and that's going to pick him up that kill. Dade windwalling the tornado there as well as Yujie tries to get some CC through, but look at Love City. He's so fast. Lupus teleported in as well. There's a twisted advance onto Ninja. The last breath to come through as well. Love City is going down incredibly low, and he's going to fall down actually to the power of Ninja, who's still alive somehow. Spirit's going to die. Ninja's going to pick up Dade as well in the heat of it all. Arcane Smash is going to pick up the kill onto him, but a very nice trade to come down.
3 for 2 trade, but importantly, Candy's still alive. They can try and push down this mid tower here. They're at least going to get a lot of damage onto that tower. No, they will secure it. 3 for 2 in a structure, looking great for M3.
Yeah, it was looking far worse for WE though. Thankfully, Ninja with some very fancy moves, managing to pick up a couple of kills that he really had no right in getting. So that is definitely the saving grace here for World Elite, but you have to admit, things looking pretty good for M3, like you said.
Kind of have to question Aluka in the top lane here. Had teleport available, did not use it. Okay, he's been able to get a power spike here. I'm hoping that he's going to notice that he has the double sheen action going on. He does.
He did. Don't worry, guys. That was a visual bug. Very cute.
Working towards the Trinity Force, but still clearly about 1250 gold away from completing that, or 1175 gold, I believe, away from completing that. And Dade, he's gone for the Ninja Tabby here. I think that's an excellent choice. It just means that in those trades, he's going to be taking that much less damage in the mid lane, and with exhaust as well.
Oh, nice use of that. He does manage to get that tornado available, and Aluka with a little bit of a sheepish teleport.
Makes it look easy, doesn't he?
Certainly does. The Windwalker himself. And it's just a pleasure to see. Oh, as we have the flag and drag, there's going to be the last breath coming through. Spirit gets eliminated. Ninja now caught in that cataclysm, but not for long because he's twisted advance, and Looper going to come through and save Ruo and help him pick up a kill as well. So things looking really nice, and M3 starting to get going. 2-1 and 3 now, but 3-0 and 5 for Ruo on this Jarvan. He is everywhere this game.
We were talking about that knock-up synergy finally coming through in very spectacular fashion right there. Aluka is able to counter-push and get this top turret, so that's a small win for WE here. But otherwise, this game is looking almost panic stations at 16 minutes if you're a WE fan.
It really is, and it looks to be all sort of stacked up on STYZ here, who now has this Blade of the Ruined King finished. Does, of course, have a couple of Doran's Blades as well. So looking to try and get some dominance on this lane now, but with Love City hanging on to that stun, he really just can't go in range.
And every trade he's taken has been a disadvantageous one. He gets a very nice trade in there, but of course is being zoned by this Annie who has all summoners available, stun available, Tibbers available, cannot aggress onto this Corki.
Yeah, and Corki as well does have a Vampiric Scepter as well, just in answer to the extra lifesteal that's available for SDYZ. Is Dade just going to come in and pressure Ninja out of this one? Just has so much damage. And now with the Bilgewater Cutlass as well, he's not going to be moved from this lane. Oh, Twisted Advance for ages onto Ninja here from Looper. He likes his chances. The Righteous Glory actually going off to get himself the slow. And look at that, the Arcane Smash. Another Twisted Advance to come through. Dade's coming around. Ninja not quite as slippery as he'd otherwise like, and Dade picking up the kill. That dive was ridiculous. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Love City picks up Spirit. Actually, not in the bottom lane. What is going on this game? M3 are just killing everyone everywhere.
SDYZ is the only person alive here. I don't think he has the smooth moves to get rid of himself here. He's going to fall down as well. And the snowball, it's happened.
Yeah, it certainly has. The flash needing to be used to get out after that stun. Tib is going to tank up this turret a bit so that Ruo can escape. And WE just look like they're flailing at this stage.
So hard to cast when all over the map in different unrelated engages.
Oh, yeah.
M3 have been taking down Advantage. Going to take it down another dragon here. And we thought this might be WE's big re-entrance, and SDYZ's big chance to show that he has that carry nature to him, but they're struggling, and it's only really Aluka in the top lane here who's can go without criticism.
Yeah, and Aluka not necessarily the one that we've been looking for to carry for World Elite, but at the moment it seems to be on his back whether or not World Elite can get back into this one because, you know, as we mentioned, I mean, there's a lot of carry potential coming through. Dade's looking huge right now on this Yasuo. The only sort of saving grace you could imagine is sort of the late game prowess of a lot of the members of the World Elite squad. I mean, Ninja's going to be massive in the split push. Aluka, I mean, they could do a 1-3-1 with the Aurelia and the Zed, but not a lot of wave clear left over there, so things looking dangerous.
I think it's very risky to talk about late game when at 19 minutes into the game we're talking a solid 6k advantage for M3. They're well on top here.
Yeah.
They're well in the ascendancy. It's going to take maybe some smooth moves around Baron, as we saw from EDG, to almost get back into the game against Snake. Or just something different and out of the box, because M3 in every lane, barring top, are showing massive advantages.
Yeah, and Dade is farming up a storm here as well in this Yasuo. Going not for sort of the direct Infinity Edge to really make sure of that double. Oh, Spirit's going to come through, kicks Love City out. He's going to get taken away straight away, but Candy going in so aggressive. There's a Twisted Advance on SDYZ. He gets just destroyed. So much burst coming through from Candy. It's going to be Ninja coming through with the Deathmark here onto Candy as well. Doesn't quite manage to land too much, and the Deathmark's going to go off. Doesn't get the kill. Yushai's going to fall down. Ninja's going to die as well. Candy is a monster and killed Ninja before he could do anything.
That was just an unbelievable outplay coming from Candy there. Miscalculated his damage, did Ninja. The fourth kill to line on. I believe that was a quadra kill delayed coming out from Candy right there. Oh boy.
Absolutely gigantic, and we've now got a repeat situation with Candy with a massive amount of kills. 7-0-5 now on this Corki. They're going to head through to the inner turret as well here in the bottom lane. And World Elite, I think that they may have just left their computers at this stage. I mean, there's just doesn't look like a lot that they can do as we see this fight again.
So we go into the replay here. It was a very nice initiation on Love CD. They get the early kill, but look how aggressive Candy moves right there. Looper comes in. They blow through S2YZ like he's nothing here with the massive power spike coming out from Candy. And this is the critical moment. Flashing away from the guaranteed Z damage and then surviving on about 100 health. So he gets the first kill. Ninja flashes in, trying to get the auto. Of course, would have applied the passive. It's no good. And we come back to live, and Dade's got another one.
Yep, S2YZ falling down as Dade picks up that kill with the help of Looper. And you could imagine that was a last breath and Arcane Smash combination. It's just, Dade has so much synergy with so many other members of his team. I mean, both Looper and Ruo can set things up for him. So as soon as they're roaming the map, Dade just becomes so much more of a problem.
And we look at the item pickups here. We see the Frozen Heart pickup coming out from Looper. That's pretty much the death knell of a lot of the power of this World Elite team. We've got basically 4 auto-attacking members of the team, and if not pure auto-attackers, 80 casters. So between the armor and that passive right there, looking like a very, very difficult situation for WE to be relevant in a team fight against this really, really powerful M3.
Yeah, it's looking terrifying. Candy actually foregoing his decision to go to a potential Bloodthirster or maybe Blade of the Ruined King and going to go straight towards this Infinity Edge as well, really snowballing through to those gigantic items in Trinity Force. And, as Aluka might be caught here as the Righteous Glory does get popped. There's the slow coming down as well, and Dade is just going to hop, skip, and a jump throughout this one. Ruo is going to take down Ninja in the meantime, but in the bottom lane, Dade does manage to finish off Aluka. In the top side of the map, there is a massive fight going on. There's double engages going across this one as Spirit's trying his very best to escape. Another Steel Tempest. The second one not going to land. Third one is going to hit. The Hurricane could have come through. We'll never know as Spirit does make his way to safety. Ruo going to add his pressure here to the mid lane, and across this map, M3 are coming out ahead.
In every lane, M3 is putting the pressure down, getting solo kills, picking up objectives, and it's just a steady flow of advantages coming to M3, and they're graciously accepting them with open arms.
They certainly are, as the inner turret in the top lane, the last one standing, going to be aggressed on here as Dade makes his way around. World Elite are ready, and Dade not going to have that wind wall available for that Sonic Wave, but they're not going to want to engage as Candy on his own, just doing so much work. STYZ losing half of his health. And Candy now going to be able to take this blue buff for himself as the next engage is possibly going to come through. There's the flash actually engage onto Candy. Doesn't have any mana. Not sure whether that was enough damage as the Deathmark pops and nothing really happens. Dade gets exhausted. There's the last breath on STYZ, but he's going to fall down to Aluka. Low health bars here on the side of M3, and there's the teleport coming through from Aluka, attempting to anyway, as Lupa just obliterates both STYZ and does a lot of damage to Aluka as well.
And Candy was waiting for mana to regen right there, but Ruo's going in.
There's the Flash Cataclysm to come through. The Flag and Drag, not quite enough mana on the side of Ruo to follow through with that one, but has managed to get a lot more damage, and just looks like M3 have so much control.
Yeah, Candy probably could have come through and cut off Spirit, but he was more interested in getting damage on that inhibitor turret of World Elite right here. It's just full control coming out. There's no wards even on the map at this point from either team. It's pretty much turned into deathmatch for the last 10 minutes, and it's not been a fun time for World Elite, let me tell you that.
Yeah, this has been sort of the China that we were expecting. See hero, kill hero, like the M5 of old, you could say. And so now a Warmog's armor being completed by Ruo. Does have his Frozen Heart as well. Of course, getting a bit jealous of Lupa, saying that I want my pretty white rock. Please let me have one as well. And he does pick his up also. It's going to be the Quicksilver Sash now picked up from Dade as well. Doesn't want to get CC'd. Wants to be able to walk around these fights on the wind as he would. And Spirit going to be picking up his red buff. Possibly donating that one over to STYZ, who's going to come in, but M3 have their eyes on the dragon, and you have to say, World Elite not going to do anything about this.
Yep, the third dragon's picked up. It's actually the patented kind of defensive choice when it comes to items from Dade. He has gone for the Blade of the Ruined King second into the QSS, you know, just going for a bit more security in these team fights, ensuring that he's not exhausted, that he's not taking a lot of damage or CC'd in these fights. And the Righteous Glory is activated.
Yeah, there's a Twisted Advance as well. Spirit gets aggressed on. There's a Tibbers to come through as well. Nice Flag and Drag for multiple knockups, and Spirit's immediately taken out of this one. Ninja gets knocked up, but he's going to just get immediately wrecked, and Lupa kills Aluka. STYZ now finds himself without a team. That's 4 dead for nothing, and M3 look to power through to this base. That's actually going to be our first surrender of the LPL. M3 taking victory against World Elite, and I can